There is a question you keep avoiding, not because you don't know the answer, but because every time it rises to the surface, something inside you quietly changes the subject. What if the greatest reason you're still broke isn't outside your control? What if it isn't the economy, your family, your education, or even bad luck? What if the prison was built one small decision at a time, until the walls became invisible? Stay with me, because before this conversation ends, you may discover that poverty is rarely just a number in a bank account. More often, it begins as a habit inside the mind, and once you see it, you will never be able to unsee it again. My friend, there is something I learned many years ago that changed the direction of my life forever. Success leaves clues. Failure leaves clues too. Yet most people spend their entire lives studying successful people while refusing to examine the habits that quietly keep them trapped. That is the great contradiction of life. People desperately want different results, but they fiercely protect the behaviors that created their current reality. Think about that for a moment. How many mornings have you promised yourself that today would be different? How many nights have you gone to sleep carrying dreams that felt bigger than your circumstances? And yet, somehow, tomorrow always arrives looking strangely similar to yesterday. Not because you lack potential, not because you were born under the wrong star, but because transformation does not happen the day you feel inspired. It happens the day your standards become stronger than your excuses. Most people misunderstand what being broke really means. Being broke is temporary. Poverty is permanent. Unless the mind changes, a person can lose every dollar they have and rebuild an empire. Another person can win millions overnight and lose everything within a few years. Why? Because money rarely stays where wisdom refuses to live. The world teaches people to chase income. Very few people learn to develop the person capable of keeping it. That difference changes everything. You see, money is attracted to value. Value is created through discipline. Discipline is born from decisions nobody applauds. That is why success often looks invisible before it becomes obvious. The world celebrates the harvest. Very few admire the seasons spent planting seeds in silence. And perhaps that is where your frustration truly lives. You have worked hard. You have sacrificed. You have stayed awake worrying about bills that nobody else even knows exist. You have wondered why people with less talent seem to move ahead while you continue fighting the same financial battles. It feels unfair. Sometimes it even feels personal. But life does not reward effort alone. Life rewards effective effort. There's a painful difference between being busy and becoming valuable. Many people exhaust themselves climbing a ladder without ever asking whether it is leaning against the right wall. Imagine spending 10 years becoming excellent at something the marketplace no longer values. You become tired. You become discouraged. Eventually, you convince yourself that hard work is a lie. It wasn't. The direction was. The tragedy is that exhaustion often disguises itself as progress. You feel productive because you are constantly moving. But movement and advancement are not the same thing. A rocking chair moves all day. It never travels anywhere. Let that sink in. The greatest danger in life isn't failing. It is becoming comfortable repeating patterns that quietly guarantee failure. Patterns become habits. Habits become identity. Identity becomes destiny. Long before wealth appears in your bank account, it first appears in your daily choices. Not the dramatic ones, the ordinary ones, the conversations you entertain, the books you avoid, the skills you postpone learning, the excuses you rehearse until they sound like facts. Every decision is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. And the frightening part is this: most votes are cast unconsciously. Have you ever noticed how quickly the human mind finds someone else to blame? If business is slow, it is the economy. If opportunities disappear, it is politics. If someone else succeeds, they must have been lucky. Blame is seductive because it removes responsibility. But responsibility is the birthplace of power. The moment you truly accept responsibility, something extraordinary happens. You stop waiting. You stop hoping someone will rescue you. You stop expecting permission. Instead, you begin asking a different question. What can I become that I am not today? That question has built more fortunes than any stock market prediction ever could. Because income rarely exceeds personal development for very long. You may occasionally earn more than you deserve, but eventually your habits collect the bill. Life has a remarkable way of bringing income back into harmony with character. That is why personal growth isn't motivational entertainment. It is financial survival. Let me tell you something many people never hear. You don't get paid for how hard you work, you get paid for the value you create. Those two things are not always equal. One person spends 12 exhausting hours performing work that almost anyone can do. Another spends 2 hours solving a problem almost nobody else can solve. Who creates more value? The marketplace answers that question every single day, not emotionally, mathematically. This is difficult for many people to accept because it feels unfair. But fairness has never determined economic reality. Value does. Which brings us to another uncomfortable truth. Your future income is hiding inside the skills you refuse to learn. Think about that. Every book left unopened, every course postponed, every conversation avoided because pride whispered, "You already know enough." Those moments have a price, and the invoice always arrives later. Successful people understand something that struggling people often overlook. Learning is expensive. Ignorance costs far more. The world is changing faster than ever before. Industries disappear. Technology transforms entire careers. New opportunities are created almost overnight, yet millions of people continue using yesterday's thinking to solve tomorrow's problems. Then they wonder why life feels increasingly difficult. The answer isn't that the world became cruel. The answer is that growth became optional, while change did not. Change happens automatically. Growth happens intentionally. There is another invisible habit that quietly keeps people financially trapped. Comfort, not luxury. Comfort. The comfort of familiar routines. The comfort of predictable disappointment. The comfort of saying, maybe next year. Comfort is dangerous because it rarely feels dangerous. It feels safe. It whispers gently, don't take the risk. Don't start yet. Wait until everything is perfect. But perfection never arrives. While you are waiting for certainty, someone else is building experience. While you are preparing, someone else is making mistakes, learning lessons, adjusting their course, and moving closer to success. Action creates clarity. Waiting creates fear. The longer you delay, the larger the obstacle appears inside your imagination. Soon the mountain exists only because your mind has been staring at it for too long. Here is something worth remembering. Confidence is not what comes before action. Confidence is what grows because of action. The wealthy are not fearless people. They simply refuse to negotiate with fear every morning. Fear asks questions. Faith answers them with movement, and movement changes lives. Now I want to ask you something deeply personal. When was the last time you invested in yourself with the same enthusiasm you invest in entertainment? Be honest. Hours disappear scrolling through other people's success. Dreams quietly fade, while distractions become routines. Days become months, months become years. One day you wake up wondering where the time went. Time never disappeared. It simply followed your priorities, and priorities always reveal what we truly believe. Perhaps the most brutal truth is not that you've been working too little. Perhaps you've been working very hard on becoming the same person. That realization hurts, but it also sets you free. Because if your daily decisions created your current reality, then different daily decisions can create a different future. That is where hope stops being fantasy. That is where transformation quietly begins. Not with applause, not with miracles, but with one honest decision. To stop lying to yourself about what your life could become. Because the moment you become brutally honest with yourself, life finally has something powerful to work with. And there is one hidden pattern almost nobody notices, a pattern so subtle that it quietly steals wealth before a single dollar is ever earned. Once you recognize it, you'll begin to understand why some people seem to attract opportunity wherever they go, while others spend years chasing it without ever catching it. And that is where our journey truly begins. Most people believe opportunity is something you find. It isn't. Opportunity is something that begins finding you the moment your character becomes impossible to ignore. That sounds simple, until you understand what it demands, because character is built in private. While the world sleeps, while no one is watching, while there are no cameras, no applause, no audience to impress, you are quietly becoming someone. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens that person. Every excuse you accept weakens that person. The frightening part is that these tiny moments never seem important while they're happening. But one day you wake up and realize they have become your identity. And identity has a strange way of attracting matching results. If you constantly tell yourself that life is unfair, your mind begins searching for proof. If you believe wealthy people are dishonest, your subconscious will never allow you to become one of them because it would feel like betraying your own values. Do you see the trap? Many people say they want wealth with their mouths, while secretly rejecting wealth with their beliefs. The conscious mind says, I want financial freedom. The subconscious whispers, people like me never become rich. Guess which voice wins? Always. The quiet one. Because your life is not built by your loudest wishes, it is built by your deepest convictions. That is why changing your income without changing your identity is like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. For a moment, it appears full. Soon enough, everything leaks away. Money simply exposes the habits that were already there. Give a disciplined person more money, and discipline multiplies it. Give an impulsive person more money, and impulses multiply faster than the bank account ever could. Money doesn't create character, it reveals it. This is why I have often said that success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by becoming the person capable of receiving it. Notice the order. Become first, receive second. The world wants the opposite. People chase results while neglecting the person responsible for producing those results. Then they wonder why success feels temporary. A tree doesn't struggle to produce fruit. It focuses on growing stronger roots. Fruit is simply the visible evidence of invisible growth. Your finances work the same way. The account everyone sees is only the fruit. Your habits, your thinking, your discipline, your emotional control. Those are the roots. Neglect the roots long enough and no amount of wishing will save the harvest. There is another silent thief that steals more dreams than failure ever has. Comparison. The modern world has turned comparison into a daily habit. Every scroll reminds you of someone buying a bigger house, someone driving a nicer car, someone announcing another victory. What you rarely see are the years of uncertainty, the lonely mornings, the nights filled with doubt, the sacrifices hidden behind every visible achievement. Comparison edits reality. Life does not. The danger isn't simply feeling jealous. The danger is allowing someone else's timeline to convince you that yours has expired. It hasn't. You are not behind. You are simply responsible for what you do next. The clock is not your enemy. Indecision is. Think about how much energy people spend worrying about being late instead of becoming prepared. Preparation always outlives panic. Every single time. Another brutal truth. Many people don't have an income problem. They have a focus problem. Scattered effort creates scattered results. Imagine using the magnifying glass under the sun. When the light is unfocused, nothing happens. Concentrated into one point, even sunlight can start a fire. Your mind works exactly the same way. 1 week, you're chasing cryptocurrency. The next week, it's e-commerce, then real estate, then content creation, then another shortcut. Years pass, nothing compounds. Not because the opportunities failed, because commitment never had the chance to mature. Mastery demands patience, and patience has become one of the rarest qualities in the modern world. Everyone wants the harvest. Almost no one wants the seasons. But every meaningful success story contains long periods where nothing exciting appears to be happening. Roots are growing, skills are sharpening, character is forming. From the outside, it looks like silence. Inside, a new life is being prepared. Never underestimate silent seasons. Some of the greatest transformations happen where nobody applauds. That is where resilience is born. There's something else that quietly keeps people financially trapped. Emotional spending. Not just money. Energy. Attention. Time. Every day you are spending these three currencies, whether you realize it or not. Money lost can often be earned again. Time cannot. Attention cannot easily be reclaimed once it becomes addiction. Think carefully about where your attention goes, because your future follows it. Whatever captures your attention long enough eventually shapes your identity. If negativity consumes your conversations, negativity begins designing your future. If growth dominates your conversations, growth slowly redesigns your life. You become whatever repeatedly occupies your mind. This is why protecting your mental environment is not luxury. It is necessity. Be careful who has access to your thinking. Some people water your dreams. Others quietly poison them with cynicism disguised as realism. There will always be someone eager to explain why your idea won't work. Listen carefully. Many people are not describing your future. They are confessing their own limitations. Don't inherit someone else's fear. Build your own experience. Failure earned honestly teaches more than advice borrowed comfortably. Every successful person has been misunderstood. Every meaningful dream has looked unreasonable to someone. If you wait until everyone approves, you will die waiting. Sometimes the price of growth is temporary loneliness. Not because people dislike you, because growth changes conversations. You stop gossiping. You stop complaining. You become interested in ideas instead of excuses. Suddenly, some relationships begin feeling uncomfortable. Do not mistake the discomfort for failure. Sometimes distance is evidence that your standards are changing, and standards determine destiny. Remember this: your life improves the moment your standards become non-negotiable. No more waiting for motivation. No more negotiating with laziness. No more pretending tomorrow is guaranteed. Discipline is simply remembering what you want most when temptation offers something less. That single habit has separated extraordinary lives from ordinary ones throughout history. There will be mornings when you don't feel inspired. Work anyway. There will be evenings when progress seems invisible. Learn anyway. There will be weeks when results appear disappointingly small. Continue anyway, because consistency possesses a quiet power that dramatic effort can never replace. Most people dramatically change their lives for 3 days. Successful people quietly change theirs for 3 years. That difference is invisible at first. Eventually, it becomes impossible to ignore. Never underestimate small improvements repeated faithfully. One page each day becomes libraries. One workout becomes strength. One skill becomes expertise. One wise financial decision becomes freedom. Life compounds. Both success and regret earn interest. Choose carefully which investment you make every morning. One day you will either thank today's discipline or wish you had embraced it sooner. The decision belongs to no one else. Not your parents, not your employer, not your government, not your circumstances, only you. Because responsibility is heavy, but helplessness is far heavier. The moment you accept complete ownership of your future, something remarkable happens. You stop asking whether life is fair. You begin asking whether today's actions deserve tomorrow's dreams. That single question changes everything. And yet, there is one final truth that almost nobody has the courage to confront. It is the truth that separates people who spend their entire lives surviving from those who eventually build a life of true abundance. It has nothing to do with luck, nothing to do with talent, nothing to do with where you were born. It has everything to do with one decision you make every single day, often without even realizing it. Once you understand that decision, you will never look at your future the same way again. The final truth is not hidden in a business book. It isn't waiting inside the perfect investment. It isn't locked behind a degree, a wealthy family, or a lucky opportunity. It has been quietly following you every single day. The person you become determines the life you eventually build. For years, many people search for the perfect strategy while ignoring the imperfect habits that quietly control every result they produce. They chase faster methods, bigger opportunities, and easier roads, believing the next breakthrough is somewhere outside themselves. Yet the greatest breakthrough has always been waiting in the mirror. Life rarely changes because we discover something magical. It changes because we finally become honest enough to stop repeating what has never worked. There comes a moment in every meaningful life when excuses lose their voice. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because purpose becomes louder than comfort. That moment cannot be purchased. It cannot be borrowed. No one can hand it to you. You decide it. Right now, somewhere in the world, another person is waking up with fewer advantages than you. They have less money, fewer connections, less experience, and more uncertainty. Yet they are moving, they are learning, they are practicing. They are building skills while others build excuses. They are planting seeds while others complain about the weather. Months from now, people will call them fortunate. Years from now, people will call them successful. Few will remember the quiet mornings when nobody believed in them. Few will remember the nights they questioned themselves but refused to quit. Success often looks like luck to those who never witness the discipline behind it. Never underestimate what ordinary effort can accomplish when repeated long enough. The world celebrates dramatic transformations because they make exciting stories. Reality is much quieter. A single hour invested in learning each day. One unnecessary purchase avoided. One meaningful conversation. One promise kept to yourself. One difficult decision made instead of delayed. None of these moments appear extraordinary. Together, they create an extraordinary life. The future is not built in giant leaps. It is built through thousands of invisible choices that nobody applauds. Every sunrise quietly asks the same question. Who will you become today? Not tomorrow, not next year, today. Because today is the only place where tomorrow is created. There is another misunderstanding that keeps countless people trapped. They believe confidence arrives before action, but confidence is earned after action. The entrepreneur who starts despite uncertainty, the student who studies despite discouragement, the creator who publishes despite criticism, the investor who keeps learning after making mistakes. They did not wait to feel fearless. They acted until fear gradually lost its authority. Courage is not the absence of doubt. It is movement in the presence of doubt. Remember that when your mind tells you to postpone one more day. Every dream has an expiration date, if ignored long enough. Do not allow hesitation to steal years that discipline could transform. Your future family may one day benefit from decisions you make this week. Your future opportunities may exist because you refuse to waste another year. Your future peace of mind may begin with one difficult conversation, one new skill, one commitment, one habit. Never believe that small beginnings produce small endings. The strongest trees begin as fragile seeds. The greatest companies often begin with a single customer. Every expert was once inexperienced. Every confident speaker was once nervous. Every financially independent person was once learning lessons that seemed painfully small. Growth is never glamorous while it is happening. Only afterward does it become obvious. If you have struggled financially, do not mistake your current situation for your permanent identity. Where you stand today is a snapshot, not your destiny. A difficult season can teach lessons that comfort never could. The question is whether those lessons become wisdom or simply more memories. Pain is unavoidable. Wasted pain is optional. Choose to let every setback educate you rather than define you. Refuse to let disappointment become your identity. Refuse to let temporary failure convince you that permanent success is impossible. Your past has influence. It does not have authority. Your circumstances have weight. They do not have the final word. The final word belongs to the decisions you continue making after this moment. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, not because everything became easy, but because you became stronger. Imagine waking up without constant anxiety about money. Imagine making decisions based on purpose instead of fear. Imagine becoming the person your younger self desperately hoped you would become. That future is not guaranteed, but it is possible, and possibility is enough to begin. When this video ends, life will ask nothing complicated of you. It will simply ask for the next right decision. Read one chapter, learn one skill, save $1, create one opportunity, make one phone call, keep one promise to yourself, repeat tomorrow, then repeat again. Years from now, you may look back and realize that the day everything changed looked completely ordinary. That is how transformation usually arrives. Quietly, patiently, one decision at a time. If these words challenged you, don't let them become another moment of inspiration that fades before tomorrow morning. Choose one lesson from this conversation and put it into action today, not because motivation lasts forever, but because disciplined action creates a future that motivation alone never can. If this message brought you value, consider subscribing and joining this community. Every conversation here is designed to challenge the way you think, strengthen the way you live, and remind you that your greatest investment will always be the person you are becoming. Thank you for spending these moments with me. Until our next journey together, protect your time, guard your attention, continue learning, and never underestimate the extraordinary future that can grow from today's smallest disciplined decision. Your next chapter is waiting. Now go and begin writing it.